The left is narrating what art is today and what art is about and what the consensus is or whatever, you know, and
I think it's been a slow decline, and it definitely started with art. And, you know, look at where we went from Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, like the great masters,
right,
to, you know, Pollock, and like people who were just fucking throwing paint on a canvas. And it's like there's been this huge effort to misconstrue reality. And now let's take those master paintings and say, hey, you know, no big fucking deal. You know what's real art? This.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous actually. There's this new exhibit, and it's got like an old classical art piece there, you know, from a couple hundred years ago, and it looks beautiful. There it is, framed in the gallery, and then it's partly obscured by the bottom right. You can't quite see the rest of the bottom right of the piece because there's all this boxes that have been piled up as a part of like some like temporary or whatever, you know, installation. But it's just a big pile of boxes. It, you know, it looks kind of like trash, like discarded boxes. It's they're uniform in size and everything, but still, it's just like, it's ugly. It's
but
not.
That was an art piece.
Yeah, and it was just so sad to see that classic piece actually being bombarded to where you can't stand in front of that piece and appreciate it because there's boxes in the fucking way because of some new contemporary artist's work, quote unquote.
I can almost appreciate where they were going with that, though. Just hearing your explanation and like the realization that you got.
Yeah.
That you weren't able to appreciate something because of like all the trash that was in the way.
Like
was that intentional?
Right.
It was intentional. It was genius.
Was that? Yeah. Was the idea? Yeah. To create disgust. I mean, perhaps if disgust and anger is what they were aiming for, it was brilliantly executed. But why are we aiming for disgust and anger, you know? And because I mean, if we're going for that, we could go there and it'll get really gross really fast.
Because sometimes reactions is better than appreciation. Even negative reaction.
Yeah.
Is, you know, it'll push you more into the limelight, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, to be subversive, you're right. I get that.
And then I could also even appreciate it just for the fucking idea. Like whoever did this Miami art basil, and they
the banana
to the
oh yeah, no, duct tape the banana
or duct tape, whatever it was. Yeah. Whoever thought of it, genius.
Yeah, you
know what I mean? Because it was such a dumb fucking idea, and you thought to yourself, "Let me do this to show a mockery, or basically be a mockery of this place, and put a price tag." And it actually sold, and you were successful. And that's probably the only piece they talked about that whole damn year.
I'm not knocking their hustle either.
You know,
I'm not knocking the hustle. You're 100% correct on that. That's hustle. Power to that artist. I want to sell a banana with duct tape on a wall.
And then I went to art shows afterwards, and people were mocking the idea.
Right, yeah.
Doing it again.
Everybody's like painting it and stuff, right? Yeah.
So it's like, you didn't think of doing that on your own. That artist did. And so he deserves every fucking penny he got from it. And
so the thing is, though, I have absurd ideas, but how do I get mine in? You know, that's where
Just do it.
But that artist, yeah, I mean, I guess just do it.
Just
got to do the Nike style. But I mean, like, how did that artist get into that spot? Because nobody would have cared if that banana was hung in my studio. And, you know, in fact, I think that was one of my little funny responses. Is like the weekend that was happening, I had an orange or something, and I think I taped it to the wall or something in my studio for that second Saturday. You know, or I did something like that. And, but notice nobody bought it for some ridiculous amount of money.
You're not at Miami Art Basel.
Right, because I was not at Miami Art Basel.
This is why I hate touching on politics, is that people are too quick to make such a stark like judgment on you based on what you believe about a certain issue.
Right.
And they'll completely disregard everything else because you believed masks were stupid.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean, because you're pro-life or whatever it is. And so I try not to, like, I feel like I'm cutting my audience in half when I get political.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I was blown away when you did. I guess we'll talk about it at least for a moment here then. You know, when you did that, when you started making some posts, when you had that free time in 2020, and you just kind of came out and made several, like a chain of posts that were just triggering our entire like local arts community, at least our friends, our peers. And one of them was like socialism is for underachievers, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty fun one. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And it certainly had the kind of reaction I would expect.
I honestly didn't expect that.
Really?
I don't know. I think I was mad at what was going on. And, you know, basically being told by the government I was going to have to stop my successful business that I was pulling in, like, you know, all this money. And everybody's like, well, yeah, great. We'll get a stimulus check. So I was kind of like, okay, yeah. Socialism sounds great to those who are underachievers because you just don't want to work. You want to stay home and not do anything. I want to work. I don't care if I risk myself getting COVID. Like, I'm going to take that risk to go to work. I'm okay with that. And people were just like fucking up in arms about it. And I couldn't believe how much hate I got from that and how many fans and how many followers I lost because of that post. And people who had been following me for years, who had been an admirer of my work for years, all of a sudden, like, I was not worthy enough of an artist for them to follow because I didn't like socialism. Right.
I've experienced the same thing, like on, you know, social media, Facebook. And for any time I've come out with a like libertarian viewpoint or something like that, you know, where, I would just get that kind of backlash. But I have noticed that with the COVID thing, it's gotten like overdrive, kind of like, in your experience there, more than you would expect. You know, you'd think that maybe people can respect other people's opinions or just, you know, it's like, you don't like it, move on, right? Scroll on, whatever.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I'm forced to do. Yeah. With all these people there, they feel very emboldened, you know, to always talk mad smack about, you know, the other side, right?
And that's why I almost felt like, okay, well, they do it all the time.
Exactly.
I straight up see them like calling Republicans Nazis, murderers, and all this. I'm like, okay, so what's calling them a underachiever? Big fucking deal. But apparently it was a big fucking deal.
Because it hit home. Because it hurt them where, you know, where truth hurts. You know, that's how I think about it. I think that's why it struck such a nerve, because truth hurts. And they know that they're all a bunch of underachievers. They know that they can't compete with you and like people like you. You know, that there is a, you know, it's like like not any industry is immune to this. If like there's a echelon, there is a hierarchy, whether or not, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, your race, gender, anything. There's a hierarchy. Are you good at your job? That's what determines your level of pay. Right. You know, and like, it's the way it works, and it's fair.
Well, you know, not even, and hey man, I'm pretty positive there's people more talented than me that I can make more money than. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's all about, like, you know, how do you negotiate? How do you contract? How do you sell yourself? Do you set the price for what you think you're worth? Are you okay with losing jobs because you're not willing to take underneath that price or whatever it is? You know, and I got a lot of people telling me shit like, oh yeah, of course, it's because you're, you know, Latina and you're pretty and of course you get jobs and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, man, bitch, fuck you. Right. People, you know, and I think we all have that human tendency, is like when we see somebody successful, oh, it must be because they grew up rich. It must be because of this. Like, we don't want to think about the sweat and tears and all the shit that they probably went through to get to that point. We just want to think, well, they probably have some circumstance that we're able to help them get there that I don't have. And so we always do that kind of comparing and reasoning of
why somebody is getting the results that you perhaps want or whatever, right?
But it's like, you know, the reality is like, you know, I had to be confident enough to, you know, what's funny, and I was telling Daniel about this the other day, is like, I used to think of successful people were people that worked at the corporations and they got the suits, and like, you know, we were all in our suits and we'd hear, oh, so-and-so left, and we're like, oh, poor him. Like, you know what I mean? But now that I've left that, and I'm not that suit and tie anymore. Like, I feel like I'm the success because I'm not stuck in that grind anymore. You know what I mean? Like, having to get up and do the 9 to 5 and like, I'm having to work a lot fucking more. It's from the moment I get up to like 2 o'clock in the morning, almost every damn day. We're working, we're grinding, we're doing. but it's for us.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's totally worth it.
I
And
agree.
we're not always like hitting profit. Sometimes we're just kind of, you know, making it.
Right.
But it's totally worth it. And to me, that's a success. That's what I deem successful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't deem successful. I don't drive a BMW. I don't drive a Mercedes. I don't have all kinds of extra money that I can go on vacations around the world. I don't have that.
Not yet.
Not yet. But I do have freedom. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can make my own schedule.
Mm.
I do have, hey, if I don't want to take that project, I don't have to take that project.
Right.
That to me is like fucking great.
I agree.
I worked in corporate. If I didn't want to do a job for one of these stupid salesmen, it didn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to help him.
Yeah.
Even if it's putting together binders and being like a little admin for him, like, that's what you're going to do because it's your job to do it. And then it's like now it's like, you know what? I don't want to do that web design for you. I'm good
Right.
for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's fucking great to me.
Yeah, having ownership of your time. I mean, that's one thing that you will never get back, right? And a lot of people trade their time for security of the future that may never come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and especially with kind of the way collapse seems imminent in my like estimation of things. It seems like a massive overhaul coming and everything. It's like,
well, COVID taught us that too, right? That anything could be swept up right up under you at any moment.
Right.
I mean, even being laid off has shown me that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it's like, depending on anybody, as much as possible, you want to avoid it, right? It's like, you know, to be self-sufficient, to be a business owner in this day and age, you know, or just be somebody who's their own boss, right? You know, like having ownership of your own time is like, it's worth it. I agree too, because I contemplate sometimes getting like some kind of job, and you know, sometimes
we all do.
Yeah.
I think about it too, going back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to get some money in my pocket.
Right. You know, and who knows? It may happen because if you know, if the collapse keeps coming and we don't fix this by speaking up about it and getting everybody involved in fixing these elections and getting people and just peaceful non-compliance with unjust mandates, you know, if we can't get that under control, there's going to be starvation and all kinds of problems where like it's just going to be another world of shit. Like it's another, like, you know, and hopefully one has some of their basic survival needs worked out to some degree, and it's going to be like it could be another Great Depression or something, you know?
And you got to learn some skills, and you got to learn that, you know, with your hands and work with your hands.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, because if everything were to fall or fail, say the grid, the power, that shit is going to be useless to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? These phones are going to be useless. It's like, what do you know how to do? Do you know how to plant some shit?
Right.
Do you know how to work the ground?
Yeah.
Do you know how to like get back to your roots? Because essentially that's what you're going to have to do.
And
I even think about, you know, my mind paints all kinds of scenarios, right? So it's like, okay, government's taken over. We're all being kidnapped. Like, what skill could I offer, right? And I'm like, I'll be the maid, man. I'll be the maid and the cook.
Yeah.
There
you go.
And I'll figure some shit out, and I'll make myself valuable by cooking and cleaning if I had to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, one of the many reasons I got into gardening, but ultimately it was 2020. I'd never gardened until 2020, and that lockdown happened. And it was like, it'll give me something to do around the house, I guess. But mainly it was because I was like, when I saw those empty shelves, you know, I was like, wow, all that conspiracy stuff I heard was real. Like those guys were right. Alex Jones is right. Like all these people who were saying that, you know, that these problems were on the way were vindicated. And I felt dumb for not listening to them because they were warning me back then, telling me you better have, you know, backup storage of water, you know, and food and, you know, whatever, and basic essentials. Right. And if I would have been a prepper, you know, I wouldn't have cared. That shit would have just glided right off me. But I wasn't quite prepared. So it definitely also got me thinking about, like making my own food and things like that. Like, just the idea of like, what if I'm forced to, like forge and learn how to create my own food? Like,
have you started jarring and canning or doing any of that stuff?
I did actually. Yeah, I've canned. So I've grown my own grapes, you know, from the plant, and
Daniel's so jealous of your grapes. He's had 2 grapevines.
Yeah.
I think for 3 years, and they've never put out a single fucking grape.
I will give y'all some seeds from this one because I would love for y'all to have a good badass fucking grapevine like this thing, because it is a trooper. This is its 3rd year. Every year it's done better. You know, and it starts peaking off around 3 or 4 years, and then 5th year they say it's kind of they're done. But yeah, I have another one that's actually supposed to be for our climate region, and it sucks. It has not produced but like 2 little bunches of grapes this whole year.
This year was brutal, man.
And it was
How was it on your garden this year with the heat?
Yeah, it was definitely more challenging, you know, during like, you know, last month with all the drought. But yeah, I was just trying to give them a little extra water, you know, and my tomatoes died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's like we were finding that like plants hate tap water.
Yeah.
Like you have to be very, you know, sparse with them, and then.
Yeah, I mainly was just using
plants.
water to kind of keep them like from dehydrating, right? But yeah, and that's another thing I just got to is I've been using the kind of a like very not very nice setup for collecting rainwater, but now I have at least a big 100-gallon thing for rainwater that I capture. So that's good because, like you said, plants, they love their real natural rainwater.
We finally bought some of those too. We got 2 big ass 50-gallon rain catchers.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
just got to set them up to where the drain spouts go right into them.
Right.
So right now we don't have that set up just quite yet.
Yeah. It's a good setup to have. At least you have the equipment, you know. But yeah, because I'm happy because I also have a little they used a paint strainer. And that keeps the mosquitoes out of it, but the water can flow through. So actually all that water that I'm collecting there is totally drinkable too. You know, if I needed it, if the water got cut off, yeah, I would be able to drink from that.
Or how would you drink it?
I mean, yeah, I guess you just boil it. I would drink
you would just
rainwater
drink straight from it.
I mean,
I did that the other day. I don't know what I was
but
thinking.
Maybe I should research that more.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking. So we have these like sun sail tarps up, and it was like filtering the rainwater, and then as soon as it started to rain, I took every damn thing that we could have like that could catch water, and I was just putting it out. I was like, oh my god, rain!
yeah.
And so once it got full, I saw like the sun tarp was filtering the water through, and it just looked like the cleanest water. I was like, I should just drink it. And Daniel, he was like, yeah, that's good. Let's just hope there wasn't any, it started scaring me with all these like microbacteria, blah, 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 blah. And then I could taste the metal from the damn galvanizer. And I was like, stop, what did I do?
Right.
But, that was okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, it's certainly okay. At least I think so, honestly, when you think about rainwater, because the only things that could be in there is whatever it catches in the atmosphere on its way down. So yes, whatever the government's pumping into our atmosphere, and some of those gases, I guess greenhouse gas or whatever, some of that could be up there. Would it kill you to drink that? I don't think so. I mean, I think we're getting much worse of it. We're already breathing it in.
Well, it can't get any worse than our tap water.
Right. Yeah, that's
all the shit they're putting in that.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Water that's come from condensation and whatnot, gone through the natural process, I don't think it gets any cleaner than that, really. I can't imagine how it would, again, other than just whatever it may pick up on its way down.
Do you believe that the government is manipulating the weather?
I do think they are.
As a method of almost warfare, control of the people, maybe?
I have been thinking that, yeah. Especially, are you referring to, perhaps, some of these droughts? Yeah, because it almost
the freeze.
Yeah, the freeze and then the drought. It's kind of almost like Texas is getting hit awfully hard, very consecutively in our. It's almost like we're being punished for going off the main grid. And I don't know what the deal is with ERCOT. I just hope that shit gets squashed. I hope the people who were responsible have been fired or strongly demoted, and I hope that they get this shit together, because I don't get why is Texas even having this problem. It seems to me I think Governor Greg Abbott has even expressed that the federal government really can't tell us what to do with things, right? Like the energy, especially since we're off the grid, but even with the immigration thing. But then it's okay, so he says good things, but then well, why doesn't he just turn on all the gas generators? And why are we still having this problem, especially a year after the freeze, I thought by now certainly Abbott.
What problems are we having?
Well, that they were just saying that they may have to, they remember how ERCOT just like last month,
Conserve energy.
right? They're saying like conserve or or else we might have a blackout.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, how about no? How about y'all guys turn on the fucking gas and stop, jacking with people's lives and, over this whole green thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we've had enough. Like, it works when it works, when you can get the sun and when you can get the solar, like we'll use it, but have the gas there too, because we need it on peak days when there's,
I
when
hate
those things.
solar panels. I hate solar panels. I hate the way they look on the houses. I hate the way that they look in fields. I don't like any of them. They
Really?
can't even they're not even biodegradable once they're done and the life expense. Like you have to throw them in a dump and they don't
Really?
go back into the earth or anything.
Well, and I know it does take some very, rare earth mineral, I believe, right?
Cobalt, I think.
Yeah, to create those panels.
It's not good. It's burning up birds as they fly by, messing with our ecosystem. I was even on the way down here. I saw one of those big ass wind turbine propellers. Just one of them.
Yeah.
That thing was humongous.
Oh yeah, I see those all the time actually. When I'm driving like to West Texas, if you ever drive west, you just see those like all the time when you're driving out in those long country roads.
Can you imagine what that's doing to the birds that fly around that shit?
Oh yeah, I know. When you see them up close like that, you're like, holy fuck, those things are huge.
I know.
They don't look that big when you see them in the fields.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And I would take a pump jack over a field of turbines all day. I just don't They were very successful. This whole thing is a marketing fucking.
Yeah.
It's a money grab. That's all it is.
Oh, and a power grab mainly.
And money and a power grab.
The money is like the money is the byproduct though, and that's the kickback that the companies are getting to do the evil, to carry out the evil, right? The companies are getting all these Green New Deal incentives. So it's actually, they're making more money to do these inefficient methods because the government's paying them, but it's asinine because we know that it's not going to work. It's not going to replace what it's not going to, fulfill the needs that we have. So it's kind of a waste of time and energy. And ultimately it's, again, the end goal is power though, to take the power away from the people, literally taking our power, turning it off to where we can't even have electricity to turn on our stoves to force us into submission, right? Because if you can't,
it's all power, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Even vehicles.
Right.
If you're on an electric vehicle, well, guess what, guys? We all have to conserve.
Right.
You can't charge your vehicle. You can't be on the road.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna face this carbon tax because our vehicles now are measuring how much carbon footprint you have, or how much you're driving.
Yeah, we've just lowered your allotted carbon footprint. You're basically cut off for the week, right?
Right. I mean,
hope you got your groceries.
It's where we're headed, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people who think they'd be on board with that,
right?
For the sake of the environment. I remember even making a post one time talking about oil and gas and talking about how many of our patrons, oil and gas stimulates our economy.
Yeah, well, and that's what blows me away too about like the Houston art scene too. It's like, do y'all guys realize that without oil and gas, there is no Houston art scene?
Right. There's not even art supplies for you to fucking paint with.
Right.
And people are like, well, I'll gladly give up all of that stuff if it meant. No, you wouldn't.
Right.
No, you wouldn't. Get rid of your clothes. Get rid of your hair products. All the crap that contributes. Yeah. The number one industry in the world that contributes to pollution is our fashion industry. It's quick turnaround clothing. Like the quick fashion is what they call it.
Wow.
And, polluting the rivers in India and making all kinds of...
I didn't know that it was the number one. I knew it was a big one.
It's not oil and gas, I'll tell you that. It's fashion.
And that's pretty insane. Yeah. Damn fashion artists. But
people think they're fighting for all these causes. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. Yes, we all are. But...
I don't think so. I don't think we all are. I think there's some of us who are kind of righteous and maybe onto something, maybe there's a few of us who are just looking at the facts, who just want the truth. I know I am. Again, I'm not I don't really care who's right. I just want the right. I want the truth. I want to find it. I want to find that direction and I want to move towards it. And, it's upsetting to me that there's so many people who are not of that same mind, that they are pretty much choosing the partisan.
What is the truth, though? And who defines the truth? And truth is so subjective. You and I can be in the same room and have experienced the same experience with Daniel, and then you might go tell a story about it, and I might go tell a different one.
Yeah.
Right? It's because your truth is different than my truth. And it's like, so whose truth is truth?
Well, I'll tell you whose truth is the camera's truth,
Right?
who captured it all.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's one of the few things, again, that thanks to this evil technology, we get a few good things out of, which is the ability to document time and space. And we can actually use data and things like that to share these thoughts and share the data, share the information. Because all this information is out there too, you know. That's what's amazing. Like you mentioned yourself, that once you finally just took the time to research, it was all out there.
Yeah.
You know, it may be a little hidden. It's not like,
yeah, they don't make it easy to find. You definitely know.
It's not on the front page of MSN, but it's there. It's just buried.
Yeah.
It's like buried in the back pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have to know exactly what search terms to type.
Right.
And then even then go through all like past the first 2 fucking pages, 3 pages.
Yeah.
I don't even use Google anymore, really.
No, I don't either. I quit Google a while ago. I've been using DuckDuckGo for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you use?
Mm-hmm.
And I've now recently heard, though, Brave is supposed to be better.
Brave?
Yeah.
Well, you would think after a matter of time, those things are going to get corrupted.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think DuckDuckGo is now not quite as secure or something, maybe. Now everyone's saying, like, to go to Brave. So I might be switching soon. And I might suggest y'all do out there too.
Have you done like the Truth Social? Are you on Truth Social? Or?
I am actually. I've only like checked on it like once or twice since I joined on there, and I was actually thinking I need to check it out again. What have you? What do you think? Oh, you haven't signed up? No. I've been signing up to a lot of these new ones, and then kind of just waiting to see which one I think like is for me or something.
To me, I'm just sitting there and I was like, is this worth me being put on some kind of list?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is this worth it? And like, even when I talk about, you know, the whole election thing to Daniel and stuff, and I'm like, but just those you listening, I think that election was won fair and square.
Right. Totally. Yeah. No, I know that is a worry of mine. Although I feel like I probably already blacklisted myself. So I guess maybe that's why I wasn't too worried about that. But there's a couple of them out there. There's like Gab. I don't know if you're aware of Gab. Mm-hmm. That's one that I follow pretty close. I've been trying to make something happen on Gab. It's been around since like, I remember, I think I signed up like in 2018, but then I didn't even touch it for like 3 years or something. And now recently I've been trying to use it a little more. And it's pretty quiet. But because it's quiet, it's actually not so bad, because then there's not as much noise and you follow a few things and your feed is very curated to whatever the few things is that you're looking at. Yeah. But not a lot as far as anything other than politics on there. And then there's also, some other ones like you said True Social. Oh, yeah. Getter. That's a new one.
Getter.
Yeah. You heard of that one? Mm-mm. Getter's the new one. Like, it's the new, like, that I hear all the, it's like free speech platform, I guess. So a lot of, right-wing people, I guess, are on there and whatnot. And that's like the new one. I've been on there and I don't know. None of these really stick. The thing is, like, I don't know, maybe social media wasn't my thing. Perhaps also why I'm trying this video series, because I think, I don't think typing on a little screen, like, it doesn't really behoove me, or it doesn't allow me to get my point across very well. Mm-hmm. I think I need more time and like words, and I think people need to see me or at least hear me and things like that. I think video is a much better format for myself, and I think for conveying ideas in general,
I mean, like I said, I've gotten to a point now where that's all I listen to.
Yeah.
It's just regular people. I don't want to hear the news broadcasters. I don't want to hear your scripted bullshit on what you have to say. I want to hear what real people have to say about certain things.
Yeah.
Like, what is the consensus?
Yeah.
What are American people really feeling? And, I do think it's important to speak it about. See, I have a problem with being a perfectionist. I am too much of a perfectionist, so my content will never be perfect enough to publish. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so I'm trying to get over that.
Yeah.
And just put your first foot out there. It's like I guess as an artist, you're always kind of dealing with this push-pull relationship. Like, do I want fame? Do I not want it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
what kind of fame?
What kind of fame do you
Yeah.
want? And it's like, sometimes I feel like I don't want it at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to just kind of live my life and not be known and not have an opinion about shit. And
Yeah.
just be happy and garden and, you know, quit getting caught up in things.
Yeah.
But then there's also when I'm doing that, there's also this guilty conscience of like, okay, I'm hiding my light, right?
Yeah.
And I'm putting my lamp or my light under a lampshade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not letting people see me. I'm not letting them know my opinions that could really have an impact on people, maybe.
Right.
More than pissing them off. You know what I mean? And so it's like, well, then am I doing the world an injustice by not sharing my thoughts? Because I do think like that's what we were here for.
I think so. You know? Again, like I do think as artists, we almost kind of bear like this special privilege, I guess you could say, of we are kind of, I feel like we're supposed to be the truth tellers.
Yeah.
I feel like artists are supposed to depict the time for what it is, you know? And so I kind of feel like it is the job of the artist, the writer, whatever it is, whatever art form you choose, but even painters, to every now and then maybe take up something if it's important enough to them, you know, to kind of put it out there, because there are probably lots of people who are wondering if anyone else in their field, perhaps even, you know, will see it the same way. And especially in the arts, because it's such a leftist dominant field, or mainstream, however you want to put that, the mainstream media kind of dominates what the narrative is that gets disseminated into the galleries and whatnot, just like they do with Hollywood, right? They all playing from the same songbook, right? And it's kind of it's disheartening.
Creates a bunch of sycophants,
honestly. Yeah. Well, and it makes everyone fall in line though too. Like people who maybe even otherwise wouldn't necessarily be so political, they'll just go along with that because that's the current thing, right? It's like, I support the current thing. Please give me likes, love me, and yes, now I can be in your woke gallery. Yeah. You know, and I really kind of irritated with the woke galleries and everything. Like I feel like I've not gotten into some of them just because maybe they've sussed me out, right? One way or another.
So there was this women's conference that just came through. They were being at the George R. Brown or something like that. They contacted me to do some live mural painting there. And they gave me a list of topics. And of course, the first topic was Summer of Rage. Show how mad you are at the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to I'm not mad about that. So I went and I chose the other topics that didn't have anything to do with abortion. And so that was probably them being like, okay, she's a conservative. We don't want her here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like,
they're like, we were really hoping you would select one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't jump on y'all's train, it's like, you have no use for me. Right.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, you know, and because I know damn well if I would have jumped on that Black Lives Matter shit, if I would have jumped on the LGBTQ shit train, we could all be making money. You know what I mean? But I would be fake to myself. There's certain artists out there that I know damn well, you know, all of a sudden you're painting portraits of George Floyd and shit for what?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, because it gets you some recognition.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I know. And it's kind of sad in a way, you know, but yeah, it's very not so me. It's not authentic. And I know it's exactly what you mean. I saw people who are like rushing out to, somebody find me a wall. I want to paint George Floyd, you know, I'll do it for free. Like, I really?
We're talking about the same artist. I'm not gonna call no names out.
Right. pretty funny though. Like, you know, I was just like, wow. Yeah. And a lot of times it's these same kind of people who then like bitch at some shop owner if he just tries to get you to do a door mural for $500. It take you like 30 minutes if that, but you want to bitch. I know. Yeah. There's some people in this scene, you know, that have really rubbed me wrong as far as all this kind of stuff goes. And and I see that they all kind of run in their little circles, and I see that they don't talk to me anymore. They don't like my shit anymore. Like, they can't even like my art. Like, I know, you know, my art no longer has value to you now because I said something wrong about COVID or something. Right.
And even even the other way around. Like I've tried to, like I knew with my socialism post, I pissed off a lot of the Hardy and Nance artists.
Oh,
and
sure.
I'm still fans of some of those people.
Yeah.
Like Kelly Divine, I still like her work.
Mhm.
I'll still like and comment on people's work.
Yeah.
Then I don't get any, even me liking their stuff and commenting, oh wow, that's such a great job. They won't even comment to me commenting on their shit.
Right. Yeah.
It's
They won't
like,
even like it or nothing. Yeah.
Because I don't want anything to do with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy.
It's kind of, it's more than crazy. It's a little, it's dark, you know, it's dark hearted. I think that's what I want them to realize too, is, and I kind of want to call them out on it, is like, y'all guys are being kind of evil and shitty. All right. We could at least put it that way. That's shitty. Mm-hmm. Stop being shitty to other people. Didn't your parents teach you manners? Didn't, you know, you don't let politics get in the way of friendships or even at least just like.
And I think Facebook that's been one of the downfalls is that I was like, I remember a time of you being able to be friends with coworkers and all this who had completely opposing views. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, whatever, and let's have a beer. Right. But I think when you put everything, you know, a lot of times when we make social media posts, we're upset, we're not thinking, you know what I mean? And boom, 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 we fire off. And then people judge us, right? When you go and you look at somebody's Facebook profile for the first time, I'm going to look at your first couple of posts and I'm like, oh shit, this person's a Democrat. Oh man, okay, fuck this person. Right? And you make a whole ass judgment on them based on their first couple of posts, based on their last posts, really. So I don't know. Yeah,
it is kind of like thinking, is it good for society? I don't even know. That's why I haven't been on Facebook much. I know it seems like you and a lot of people I know have kind of moved on and not really there anymore. We're kind of like ghost accounts. Like we kind of just go there to like share the memories that it shows us every time we log in.
Yeah, right. I go on, you know, because unfortunately it's an addiction. It's like a mindless habit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what the other social media platforms are for too, though. So that's why you should just get on Getter or get on Gab. Because then you'll still have somewhere to scroll, and you'll actually be scrolling around people who think more like you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it has its pros and cons, and that's why I kind of keep them both going. But honestly, I get more like, from scrolling Gab. I'm on there way more often than I am on Facebook because I can just scroll there and I'll get all the news and stuff. And, but I don't have to see all the screaming libtard comments, so not as much of them. There's a few of them on there because it is a free speech site. So they will allow anything.
Right.
And it's the Wild West there. So there's a lot of riffraff there too, you know, like there's racists on there because they can't go anywhere else except for, you know, a few of these free speech sites. So there are a few racists and I don't even know, maybe some of them are probably bots or, you know, something, but surely some of them are just straight up retarded racists. And,
you know, I've had people get so mad at me because I have the opinion that we live in America. And if somebody wants to be racist, they can be racist. It's a free fucking country.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are like, oh my God, that's the worst thing you can be in the world. I don't think so. I mean, I think a pedophile is a little worse than a racist, in my opinion.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, because pedophilia, you know, that kind of transcends race.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, women have the right all day. If I'm a feminist and I want to say, all men are fucking pigs, y'all suck, I hate you guys. I can say that as a feminist. You know, black people can come out and talk about the white devil and this and that and say all this stuff. You know, I don't know. I think people's experience, like I have a friend who was robbed at gunpoint at the dry cleaners by a black guy. And so now she's got this fear of black men, right? Because of something that happened to her. And wherever somebody's racism stems from, or homophobia stems from, or whoever, like I can always just look at somebody in their situation and was like, well, what made them that way? What made this person hate on men? What made this person afraid of black people?
Right.
What made this person hate white people?
Mm-hmm.
And there's always kind of like an underlying story there. And not that we have to like condone it.
I mean, hate.
But try to understand it.
Yeah.
You know?
Stereotypical hate, you know, I mean, it comes from experience, right? I mean, they're not stereotypes for absolutely no reason.
Right.
Obviously, there is a proclivity of certain things to happen with certain races, and it's inescapable. And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's true. You know, there's things such as, you know, the crime rate. Well, let's put it this way. I don't see a lot of Asians on the crime statistics.
But, you know, and I've made this point to some other people too. Unfortunately, I think what happened after slavery was that they took a lot of our Black population and they condensed them into these projects, right? Into these, like, you know, big urban living. So what happens when, you know, and I'm not trying to compare anybody to animals, but because of science and animal experiments, when you put a bunch of animals into a small space, you put a bunch of humans, if you put 2 people in a small space,
any animal, right?
What's gonna happen?
Right, yeah.
You're gonna fight.
Yeah.
You know, me and Daniel alone for 3 days in our house, we're gonna end up fighting.
Yeah.
Right? It's just what happens. So when you put a condensed population into small living quarters, there's going to be more violence.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that only certain demographics get pushed into those condensed living conditions? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that racial? Yeah, because racism was kind of written into our zoning laws, you know? And is there racism? Yes. I'm not going to say there isn't. Absolutely there is.
Yeah.
Has there been injustice? Yes, absolutely. Have Black people been handed a shitty fucking card here in America? Yes, but if you look at it from another point of view, if you had not been brought to America and none of that ever existed, you wouldn't even be here right now.
Right.
You'd be in Africa. And would that have been a better card for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm sure, let's cut this shit out because I'll get canceled for all of this.
Right, right.
But
we'll definitely go through parts and then we'll go,
you know,
but yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point to make. And one thing that I will add to it regardless is just that who sold the slaves to us? Oh, it was Black men. Who's still selling slaves in Africa? Black men. All right. Black people selling Black people is how the slave trade worked. And it's also how it worked with white people who have been slave traded all through history. We bought Irish slaves to build America. You know, so there is this racial thing. It's just, again, it's another divide and conquer device.
It is. We were watching a story, a documentary on orphans the other day, and it was like orphans trained or something, like here in America, that I guess after some war, we were left with a bunch of orphans that were just basically being shipped all over the country and sold to the highest bidder. And families would take them in and basically turn them into their slaves. You know what I mean? Oh, let's get this orphan, and now we'll have them work the land and do chores all day.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, so look at this. And they were all white. You know what I mean?
They were all white, yeah.
Orphans.
It didn't have anything to do with race.
It had nothing to do with race. It just had to do with people taking advantage of other people in worse situations.
We do that all the time.
It's the human condition.
It is, unfortunately.
You know? It is unfortunate.
Like, it seems that way, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe we can transcend. Maybe there's some things that we consider, you know, part of being human that we can transcend. Like, what do you think of that? Do you think we could ever stop abusing each other so much to where we could, like, you know, travel the stars and all that good stuff?
No.
You think we're just screwed or what? Like, is it because of the religious thing? See, that's what I worry about.
But see, and that's what, you know, that's what separates humans from animals, right? Because I guess the leftists or somebody who's more leaning on science. So if you believe in science, then you believe in survival of the fittest. Do you consider it murder when a hawk goes and takes babies from their nests so that it can eat? Is that wrong to our perception of what right and wrong is? Is it wrong for the hawk to do that? Is that hawk going to go to hell for that? You know what I mean?
Certainly not. No, right? I mean, like the hawk's just doing what a hawk's gonna do, right? Hawks are gonna fucking swoop. So, where were we going with that?
So it's like the level of what is right and wrong, and can we transcend what is human behavior, right? So it's like, do we expect animals to transcend, or, you know, if we're truly just science, and I'm going to just a scientific point of view, why would there be an expectation of a transcendence if we're just animal beings?
You know, I guess not necessarily an expectation, but you know, a boy can dream, right?
Yeah.
And it seems to be something that has been ingrained in the human psyche for such a long time. We've always dreamed of going to the stars, you know, first, you know, flying and yeah, just visiting and seeing what's out there beyond the earth has always been, you know, part of, I guess, our explorative nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then as
because
humans,
we see it, because our senses see that there's something out there.
yeah, and we want to go.
There's got to be a way to get to it.
Right, and we want to go. And yeah, it's like there's something about that for me that's always inspiring. You know, that this idea that maybe one day there might be a man out there, you know, close to one of those stars or something, you know, that will find a way to warp space-time. And
then what would that bring?
Well, I'll tell you what it would bring. It would bring unlimited abundance to us. And even not even necessarily that getting to that point but just our pursuit of that will bring us unlimited abundance of materials, of natural materials that we need to survive and to grow.
Are we already abundant with that here?
Well, it seems we are, but it seems also that there may be a limited supply of resources that we could possibly burn through at some point. I am definitely not a doomsday, you know, climate change cultist who believes that day is coming anytime soon. From everything that science has shown us, actually, our reserves of oil have replenished when we thought they would be depleted decades ago. So that kind of shows that maybe oil is this thing that we didn't realize actually replenishes itself fairly quickly, or there's so much of it that we can't even hardly make a dent. It refills when we deplete. Yeah. So that's a good sign. But I would hate to just depend on that. Maybe it might just be a matter of not wanting to put all my eggs in one basket. You know, I guess I'm just like, hey, you know, a meteorite's bound to smack us eventually. And I would rather a few humans be on the moon or something. Or, you know.
But you have to realize, though, that the end of the world has come already for many cultures.
Like, explain that.
So catastrophic events have come in and wiped out certain cultures that to them they thought was the end of the world. Right?
See. Yeah.
So the end of the world has come and gone and come and gone and come and gone. So it's like, you know, it's like the fact that humans, or the idea that humans are just polluting the earth so much that we're going to fuck it up and we're going to ruin everything. Mm-hmm. I think the earth will spit us out before we ever get to that point. Yeah. The earth is the most intelligent being that we have no idea how, you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing nothing to the earth. Yeah. It's going to spit us out before we ever make a dent on fucking it up. That's what I think. You know what I mean?
I think I agree with that. I believe, the earth will be here. It'll go through its processes. It'll go through its cycles. Yeah. And, we will be gone at some point. We will not be able to live on this earth at some point, you know, and it's going to continue to do its thing.
Mm-hmm. You know? Why do you say that? Why do you say that we won't be able to live here at some point?
Well, because it would, at some point it's going to, the sun is getting bigger, and our earth will get hotter because of that, because the sun is basically, we're going to get overheated. But that's going to be like a long time.
According to the scientists, our sun is growing.
Yeah, it's kind of blowing.
In circumference.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's what they were saying, is that the sun is actually going to continue to get bigger and expand for a while. This is part of its star evolution, and that it'll probably contract, I believe, after that. But yeah, supposedly the way stars tend to grow and die or whatever that's what they say. Yeah, who knows, right?
Okay, you know, I take all that shit with a grain of salt too.
Yeah, I agree, and you should, because we're talking like the cosmic timeline they're talking about is so vast. I think we're talking over like 100 million years or something, like some ridiculous time scale that's just unfathomable. So it really doesn't even matter. Like, humans we'll be like evolved into something else by that point, if we're still around. Yeah. You know, if not, again, like just something by that point, by this crazy time in the future, will have been, devoured by lava in some kind of cataclysmic impact, or hopefully a few of us got away.
Do you think that it's interesting that science kind of lines up, like every religion, even science has an ultimate doomsday. Like all religions of the world can agree one day this will come to an end.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right?
Yeah. Do you think that has something to do with like what they're fucking with at CERN, like the Large Hadron Collider?
I think religion it's very old and it runs deep, and there are people on this planet who really, really, really believe in it and will do everything in their power to make it come to pass. So I think a lot of the biblical prophecy and all that stuff is just a lot of powerful people, very earnest in their beliefs, who are going to do what they need to do to make it come to pass by any means necessary.
Yeah, so you said something that I believe too, actually. So like I've thought this kind of like what you're saying there is that basically like they're going to go through with these ideas, kind of like how Daniel was even saying, like Trump probably knows that he's kind of playing this role that's kind of biblical, and maybe he perhaps is even playing it because it's biblical and he wants to play his role, right?
Yeah.
Or he wants to be a part of this grand scheme. I guess it'd be like, hey, that'd be pretty cool. I want to play in this show. Oops. Oh, that's Daniel. I thought I did something.
And like people like Beyonce, she's big time Luciferian. And it's like you said, I believe these people partake in rituals that are very important to them, and they believe it 100% that what they're doing is bringing in their king, or you know what I mean, bringing in whatever power, spirit that they worship, or I don't know.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for instance, like some people have asked me, they're like, oh, you don't believe like that, all that religious stuff that this power cabal, this deep state, you don't believe that all that's true, right? And I'm like, I don't have to believe it's true to believe that they believe it's true,
right?
And that's the key. Like, I don't know why that's like a mind block for some people. They don't get it. It's like, I don't have to believe in this shit to know about it and to know that these people believe in it and they're acting upon it. They're making world policies, they're changing people's lives. They're killing people. They're doing these, they have these ideas of like mass starvation, mass die-offs. So like, so this is like really affects a lot of people. So it's kind of important to realize that, yeah, even though you may think it's bullshit, even though maybe it is bullshit, they don't think it's bullshit. They're not treating it like bullshit, at least.
And honestly, that's what kind of got me back into, like, I was a Christian. I'm one of those soft kind of Christians. And I was like, okay, yeah, I believe, but I'm not going to really press anybody on anything. I'm just going to kind of live my life and kind of have a way to believe. And then when all this stuff started coming out and I started learning about the Luciferian side, it makes it very real for you, because it's kind of like, damn, these people really believe this. And this is, you see it, like when your eyes are open to it and you see it in the media, you see it in the movies, you see it, music videos, all this imagery, all this Luciferian shit. And it's like, damn, these people are really going hard for their side. So if there's that side, there's got to be the other side too. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like somebody's orchestrating all this, and I don't know. It's so weird. It's like, I mean, I feel like I'm living in like some kind of weird like novel or something.
Like it's all a big movie script. Book. Like even when this whole thing came out with Ukraine, I was like, so wait a minute. So you're telling me the president of Ukraine was a fucking actor who played a role about becoming a president who went to war, and now he's the president going to war.
Did he? I didn't even know he played that role. Like, that's crazy.
All of it just seems absurd to me.
Yeah.
It's too much. I can't. It's like everything now that I hear.
It's too much.
It's like fake news. That's my first. It's fake news. Everything is so fucking fake and scripted. I don't believe any of it anymore.
Right. I know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's sad.
That's kind of the point that it's gotten to me.
Yeah. And I think in a way that was the point, was that to make life so absurd that people can't distinguish fact from fiction, and they've done a good job of that. Yeah,
They've done a great fucking job at that.
Yeah, and yeah, like the left, they claim to be the arbiters of freedom and all this stuff. Yet they're the most Nazi, most like
deniers of truth.
Yeah, deniers of truth. They call themselves the party of science. Yet they're the most anti-scientific. They suppress scientists who actually try to speak out about this stuff. Mm-hmm. That's something I've been finding too, like with the climate change stuff, for instance. Like there's actually hundreds and thousands of scientists. People would be like, well, why aren't there hundreds of thousands of scientists who are coming out against it? They are. Yeah. Actually, they're out there. Again, just ClimateGate, hashtag ClimateGate, or just look up ClimateGate in your search engine.
ClimateGate?
Yeah.
I have to look up that one.
Yeah, look it up, man. You will be amazed. Like there's so much... and the ClimateGate's just referring to one facet of the fraud. It's basically all these emails between like people in NASA and like other, organizations, and they're all just like fudging the numbers, like saying like, oh, we got to make it look like, climate change, man-made climate change is a problem. So fix that there and fix this here. And
you know how much they spent on that James Webb telescope? How much our money is spent on that?
I don't know.
$10 billion to send off a fucking piece of aluminum foil off into space, because that's what that shit looked like to me. A bunch of gold aluminum foil.
I know, right?
And then apparently this telescope's supposedly taking pictures from billions of light years away, and this is what it looks like. And then they give the public a fucking piece of artwork.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. That's a piece of artwork. Somebody created that. That is not a photo of our fucking galaxy. And if you're fooled into thinking that, I'm so sorry for you. But they're robbing you of your fucking money. And that's what they're giving you.
Yeah, what's up with... Yeah, it's like a black budget. I don't know what they're doing with this money, but it's definitely not being spent responsibly on the on the things that we think it is.
Alex Jones says that NASA is the real government. That they, parade as this space agency, but that's just PR stuff.
Yeah.
That they're the real government.
I've never heard him say that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting quote. I'll have to look into that. But yeah.
I think he was on the Joe Rogan show one time.
Oh, okay.
And they did like a 3-hour, 45-minute show.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I did listen to that. Was an epic fucking show.
It was him and Eddie Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo was on that.
Fucking Eddie Bravo.
Yeah, that was one of their best Joe Rogan experiences of all time for sure. Well, all right. I guess we've run quite a long gamut, and there's definitely more to go, but we're going to cut it for now and do this again some other time soon, hopefully. Definitely. But thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you.
For coming out. What do you go by now?
I'm still Longoria. I kept my last name.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Wait, how did you say it?
Longoria. You can say Longoria, Longoria.
Okay. Yeah, you gave it such that nice little roll there. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, so Veronica Longoria, thank you so much for joining us here at the Fink Tank, and we hope to have you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
See you later.
All right.
Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also, if you want to support me as a content creator, as a artist, as a creator of culture, what art has always been throughout history, then if you think my voice has value, if you value free-thinking artists who push themselves to the limits, then please head on to patreon.com/VincentFink. You can start at the price of a cup of coffee per month and will far exceed the monetary value of your investment with art gifts. So please check it out, and thank you very much for watching today, and we'll see you in the next vid.